Hello, tubers! How are you today? Well, today I'm back in the United States after a couple, almost 3 months out of the country. And, it's interesting when you know, it's hard to see the forest from the trees when you're amongst the trees all the time. But if you leave the forest and then you come back to the forest after a little time, then you can notice the differences. And so today, as I was coming home from the airport, I saw some differences in the country, and I saw things that I hadn't seen never in my whole life, and they weren't good things. So that's just FYI, and many of you probably already understand that because you're probably living through some of that to begin with, and I have too. But I'm an economy of one, and you're an economy of one. But when you see other people, economy of many that are struggling, then it kind of puts it into perspective. Because I could be doing. I remember back in the '90s when everybody was doing so well with the computer age and everything like that, and I was still struggling. I was kind of pissed off because people were making hand over fist, and I was still struggling. But if you're struggling, everybody else is struggling, then you don't get so angry. So so what I'm trying to say today is this. There's a couple of things I want to mention. Because depression is I had a person a few days ago write me a comment on one of my videos. It was regarding the depression. No, I forget which one video it was. But he was mentioned that he was very depressed, very, very depressed. And I wrote him back a comment. And I said, hey, the depression is the devil. Let that go. You got to let go of that stuff. And I wrote some other stuff also. But, sometimes you have to just be headstrong and stubborn and say, I told him, rebuke that depression. Rebuke it. Don't accept it. Just let it go. And, of course, it's easier said than done. But so much of our lives are determined of what we think or how we think. The thoughts that we're consuming each day in our own little minds. So you have to be headstrong and just rebuke it. But I also wanted to mention this is we can only control so much. So don't get frustrated and say you lost your job. You get frustrated, But what do you? You got nothing to do with it. You working, doing your job, but the bank, the company went belly up, and you were just a casualty of that situation. It was nothing about you. So don't get yourself down because you lost your job. I lost a job. Well, it was interesting. Years ago, I was working for a bank. I was just hired, and in 3 months they let me go. I said because they didn't have enough work for me, and I'm thinking, so why'd you hire me for if you're gonna let me go within 3 months? It's like I could have stayed at my old job. So that pissed me off. Don't hire somebody and then let them go after like 94 days or something like that. It's like you can't forecast 3 months from now. But look, focus on the things you can control. What do I mean by that? Well, you can focus on what you eat. You can focus on your body, right? Your conditioning. Those are the things you can control. So if your finances, many times your finances you can't control because it's an economy and you're wearing that big soup. If the soup is a bad soup, you could be a delicious shrimp, but if the soup tastes bad, you're going to be bad soup. You're going to be a bad shrimp. So try not to, focus on what you can. So who's to say that you can't if you're heavy, try to focus on eating healthier food. And you can say, well, eating healthy is expensive. Well, you can eat rice and beans, and that's fairly healthy, and that's not expensive. I mean, try to say, yes, I can. There was that movie from Jim Carrey. It was like the yes man, right? Everything he said was yes, yes, yes. But there are a lot of people out there that say, no, no, no. And if, for sure, if you're going to say no to everything, then it's no, for sure it's no. If you say yes, it may be yes, but, at least you're giving yourself a chance. So try to be positive and try to believe in yourself. I believe in myself because I've put myself through a lot of tests, physical and mental, and also spiritual. So what can you control? You can control your body. So, oh, I got to work out in the gym. I don't got those $35, $40 a month. I could just barely make ends meet. Well, hold on. You can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. You can run. You can walk upstairs. There's a lot of things you can do that doesn't cost anything. Calisthenics. Spiritual-wise, you can get closer to God. That doesn't cost anything. Get yourself a Bible. You can go online and start reading the Bible quotes and get closer to God. God has His ways, and if you're with God, God will pay you. He gives you grace. But if you're going to be a bad follower of God and Jesus Christ, then you're not going to be given graces. So just don't focus on just your income. You're more complicated than that. People just focus on their income. Come on, man. I mean, 2,000 years ago, how much money did people walk around with? Right? A shepherd, his income was the sheep. So please, people, please, we tend to focus on just a particular one thing, but we could do a lot more. And also, what helps me to feel better is when I'm helping people. Say there's a woman or a man and they can't lift something or whatever the case may be. I'm more than happy to lift it for them or whatever they need, and then I feel good about that. It's self-gratification through helping people, and that's another way to get you out of your depression. Because I'll say, oh, thank you so much. I couldn't do it, blah, 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 blah. And that's contagious. And also, God sees those things, So when you, say, for example, your car, goes down, gets hurt or whatever, it starts to act up on you. And, next thing you know, and that happens to me a lot too, it's funny. I used to have a car that was a big headache. Thing was always breaking down, but every time I broke down, there was always somebody to help me. And a buddy of mine said to me, he goes, Rich, you're always helping out people. So that's it's kismet, what goes around comes around. And I didn't think about that, but it was true. Every time I broke down or something happened, there was always somebody to help me. So like I said, it's contagious. And those things you can't control. You can't, you can say, I want to make $100,000, but if it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards. Don't get all bothered by it. Focus on the things that are important, like your family, your health, your relationship with God, and your community and who you mix with. Those are the things you can control. Hey, I like to crack jokes and things of that nature, and then, once you're laughing, you're not depressed anymore. So don't think you're so vulnerable or so apt to not controlling your life. So many people just focus on the dollars. But, years ago when I was in my 20s, I used to work in a yacht club, or actually a country club. And those people were filthy rich. Filthy rich. Loaded. And as a bartender, people come up to me for a drink, and some of the members were really nice people, very jovial. They'd bother to learn your name. They'd speak with you as they were drinking their scotch. Usually they were drinking Dewar's and water. A lot of scotch drinkers. And then some other people would just be nasty. Just aggravated and just, just miserable. And I learned at 22, 23 years old that, money does not make you happy. Because I saw some that were happy as a clam and others were all bitter. And they all had money. So I learned from then that money is not the answer of happiness, And, it's funny. Years ago when I was around 30 years old, I bought a boat. And I thought, well, that boat was going to make me happy, I'm going to invite girls on my boat and have some good times with some hot looking babes. But later on, I found out the women were scared to go on my boat because they thought I'd take them out in the ocean and threaten them to have sex with me. And I was like, what? Yeah. So that backfired on me, and that freaking boat was a headache. I had to take care of it. It almost sank one day. Oh my goodness, I was never so happy. When I saw that boat, I was so happy. I was like, oh, got rid of that headache. So please, people, focus on what you can do, what you can't control. Things that are out of your control, like I said, people say, I just put in the hands of God. I said, God, this one's yours. God, I lost my job. I got some bills. Man, you know what? I'm going to follow your ways. I'm going to pray the rosary. And I'll do my part. And God, please do your part and help me out with this. And like I said, sometimes, with all these things that you have, you think you have happiness with a boat or a car or this or that. And it turns out it's not what it's cracked up to be. So what you think may not be what is reality. Oh, wow, I'm gonna go on vacation. You go on vacation and you're with a friend. I went on vacation with a friend years ago, and man, the freaking guy was an idiot. I mean, he was just aggravated, and I was like miserable on vacation. So, people thinking, oh man, I can't wait till I have my 2 weeks of vacation. I'm gonna go to whatever. To Puerto Rico, I'm going to have a great time. And then you go to Puerto Rico and you have a miserable time. So let's just enjoy as the days come through. Don't complicate the matter. Follow God, His ways. Do your part. Focus on what you can control. Then put the rest in God's hands. And just be a happy clam where you're at. And just take it easy. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to pass away. And that's what I focus on, is the day after you pass away. What's going to happen then? Not today. Today will be tomorrow. Today there's always tomorrow. And today is going to be the past. So forget about that stuff. And that's the message for today. I hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. And as always, God bless.